Hey guys!
How's it going?
Hi guys! Welcome to our second webinar. We are very excited that you watched our first one. We hope it was super informative for you. This webinar will be all about questions and answers. We want to answer every single detailed question that you have. And we have a special guest today.
Hey! I'm Rebecca. I'm Rebecca Taylor with Vivid Artistic Hair Design. I'll tell you who I am. And this is Jordan. And
that is
Slim.
me. We are your co-VPs of education. But yeah, we wanted to kind of take this time today to fine-tune any questions you may have, really just kind of hit on a couple more points. One of the first things I really want to get into is compatibility again. Olaplex is compatible with every single color line, every single lightener, and on every single hair type. For color, it doesn't matter if it's a direct dye, gloss, toner, semi, dim-eye, oil delivery system, or anything like that.
Texture services.
Texture services
Everything.
As well. But color and lightener themselves, although the actual products may be different when talking about your Redkins, your Matrixes, your L'Oreals, or Avedas, like the actual color produced itself might be different, but the chemistry is not. When you're producing a result, you actually go through and you break disulfide bonds in the hair. Now hair, in general, although you might have curly, fine, straight, natural, hair is all made up of thousands and thousands of paired disulfide bonds. Olaplex does one thing and one thing only. Olaplex works by finding single sulfur hydrogen bonds and cross-linking them back together, therefore creating new disulfide bonds. Hence, it's compatible with every single color line, every single lightener, and on every single hair type.
And it lets you, I'm just going to interject, you're the brains, you're like the chemistry brains behind all this. I'm the artistic side. I love that it lets me do more with color, personally. I mean, I can't speak too much on the texturizing services because that's not my forte, but I love that I can lighten more and more efficiently, and the hair's healthier, so the color lasts longer. So everything you just said in terms of actually doing hair, it makes my life that much easier. So
Yes.
that's how I apply what you just said to actually physically doing hair. So.
And the reason being is that Olaplex relinks these broken disulfide bonds, which enables you to do more services. If you take compromised hair with Olaplex, any volume, and the hair is too compromised, that means they're missing X amount of bonds. Even if you have Olaplex or not, you can still have breakage. Now, what we always recommend to do is always begin with an Olaplex treatment first. You need to rebuild the bonds in the hair so that you have bonds in the hair to break. If you don't have any paired bonds in the hair to break, you break the hair. So what's great about Olaplex is not only can you use it in your bleaches, in your colors, which will prevent breakage during the process, you can actually restore breakage beforehand. You need to set yourself up for a beautiful canvas by rebuilding these bonds. Some of your clients have had years, decades of damage done onto their hair. They might not just need one treatment. They could need a few. They could have the number 3 at home. They could use it every single, week or more, and they could rebuild their hair slowly so that you can do these amazing drastic color changes or push the hair further than you've ever been able to push it before.
With that being said too, Olaplex is not a protein treatment, hence it cannot be overused. However, protein and moisture are entirely separate issues. You still need to use your favorite moisture treatments, your favorite protein treatments, and you really just need to respect the hair that you're actually dealing with. When you're dealing with someone that walks in with compromised hair, if you put 40 volume and bleach on there, even with Olaplex, you will still break the hair. So it's all about using good judgment, being cautious, evaluating the integrity of the hair, and taking things slowly. Olaplex is an insurance policy. Like I've always said, and Slinda said as well, just because you have car insurance does not mean you should drive your car over a cliff.
I love that analogy.
Right?
It makes total sense. I love it.
And a lot of the issues we're seeing though are people that, they'll take a client that, let's just say, super over processed, they'll stick 40 volume on the hair, they'll stick them under heat for an hour, and then suddenly, oh no, why did the hair break?
Slim and I were just talking before we started, and this is the way I sort of see it, is if you have hair that you would not put lightener on anyway because it's just so trashed and the integrity is compromised, you probably don't want to put lightener with or without Olaplex on it. You want to do the preparation and do the treatments first, and then you can heal the hair, and then you can go in and lighten. But you have to use common sense, because I have hairstylist education forum and Instagram, and people are like, oh, it's a magic wand, and you know, you can do anything with it, and that's when you run into trouble. And
Yes.
I've seen, you know, people blame Olaplex, and I'm like, no, if you wouldn't have, you know, if you would use your judgment, then you know.
Yes,
That's
there's
what I'm getting
nothing in Olaplex that can cause breakage. Bleach and lightener and developer is what breaks the bonds in order for you to change the chemistry. So there's nothing in Olaplex. If you put straight Olaplex onto the hair, you will never have breakage. So it's really application is key, timing is key, and really, really checking how compromised the hair is. Check the elasticity, check the ends of the hair, pull it, see how elastic it's getting. Sometimes you do have to say no, and you have to tell them you need to use the number 3 a few times before you come and see me again. And then I will take a look at your hair and see if it is strong enough for us to put bleach and lightener again.
You have to be assertive as a stylist. You're the professional. Don't let your client dictate the decisions you make with hair color. Just because you have Olaplex doesn't mean, as we said, you can't just drive your car off the cliff. So you need to be assertive, take home number 3, get the hair healthy, and then we can, you know, move on to the next treatment.
Yes. So one of the questions that we have today,
Question time.
Yay.
I'm excited about this part.
which is more beneficial bleach-wise, 20 volume and no Olaplex, or 40 volume with Olaplex? I saw that one of you guys mentioned that bleach with Olaplex added is better for your hair, even though you are using a higher volume. This is kind of for those people that are like, oh, I don't need Olaplex, I only need to use 50 volume to be platinum, and etc. So with that, using Olaplex is always beneficial, because what is happening is that when you put Olaplex into your bleach and lightener, you are actually having 2 chemical reactions. One chemical reaction is the bleach and the lightener are breaking these healthy disulfide bonds. But the second chemical reaction that is happening is Olaplex is actually relinking these bonds before too many oxygen molecules actually adhere to them. So if too many oxygen, say 3 oxygen molecules, adhere to these single bonds, it literally eats protein out of the hair.
Basically,
so before that occurs, Olaplex links them together.
what happens when those 3 molecules actually attach to a sulfur hydrogen bond? They actually create something called SO3, which is also known as a sulfate group. What this actually does, it will eventually create cystic acid, and like she said, this cystic acid will actually eat protein out of the hair. What Olaplex actually does is it couples with these single sulfur hydrogen bonds faster than the O3 can, therefore preventing that reaction in the first place. Hence why Olaplex is actually mitigating damage during the process. In addition to, when these disulfide bonds are broken and they flow to single sulfur hydrogen bonds, Olaplex can be used as a treatment, and what this is going to do, it's going to find those single sulfur hydrogen bonds, cross-link them back together, therefore creating new disulfide bonds. So it's an entirely unique chemistry and totally unlike anything you've ever used before. It's not an oil, it's not a protein, it's not a polymer, it's an actual chemistry. We have some of the most amazing scientists in the world that we actually work with, Dr. Craig Hawker and Dr. Eric Presley. And, one of my favorite stories is actually like Dean going to Craig, with this idea, and Craig countering, like, what's the holy grail of hair? We're lucky in the fact of even being able to work with Craig and Eric because, within an hour, Craig basically called Dean back and, was like, hey, let me check the patents on it. And, had it synthesized and ready to go the next day in his lab. So, it hasn't changed anything from then. And, we're very, very lucky in that regard. I think, too, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Craig and Eric had absolutely nothing to do with hair. They're entirely on a whole separate level. They're dealing with a lot of medical breakthroughs and that type of thing. And, for them, it was just, let's look at hair for what it actually is.
So what makes this so unique, and there's nothing like this, because Craig Hawker is the top of that demographic of chemists. There's, I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about, but I personally feel like you can't come close to the technology that's in this. That's my personal opinion. If I, need to be affiliated or whatever, but I think it's amazing.
It's true.
I've never tried anything like it, and I've tried everything that's claiming to be like it. So that's my personal testimony to it.
Yes. So when you are using bleaching developer, whether it is a lower developer or a higher developer, it is important to use Olaplex because you are preventing further damage for the future. You are setting the hair up to be healthier than it would be if you hadn't used Olaplex. And we definitely want you to do test strands. You will see by using Olaplex with or without, the diameter of the hair isn't as swollen as it would be hadn't you not used Olaplex. So that just shows you that it is relinking bonds and it is making the hair healthier. So even if you are using 10 volume, 15 volume, you still should use a little Olaplex just to set yourself up for a healthy canvas for the future.
And one thing too, I'll let you finish right after this, but for someone with healthy hair, it's about maintaining the health of their hair. It's never letting them get to a compromised point in the first place.
Exactly.
10 volume on virgin hair is still going to damage hair. It might not be as visible as, let's say, 40 or 130 volume, but the fact is the chemistry itself still damages hair. For someone with compromised hair, it's about mitigating further damage, and it's about repairing from there. Hence why you would actually start with Olaplex treatments first, work on restoring the integrity of the hair before you'd even go in there with lightener.
And you kind of touched on what I was going to answer about that question. It sounded like the question was, should I use Olaplex and sort of slow it down or take longer to get where you need to go, which is platinum in their verbiage, or should you use a higher volume and get there quick? I think it shouldn't be about getting there quick and as light as possible. You should go slow and allow the hair to be healthy and not just try to go from like a level 2, 3, 4, whatever, and go to platinum in one shot. That again, you have to be assertive with your client and say it may take a process, because what's the point of platinum hair if it's wrecked and it feels horrible? And then that's my personal opinion. I would rather go slow and have it take 2, 3 appointments and maintain the shine and the elasticity and do it the right way using the safety of this product.
On that note too, it's something you need to talk to your clients about. Even with Olaplex, you still need to have realistic expectations.
Yeah.
You know, it's much better to under-promise than over-deliver than vice versa. You know what? Someone that comes in with box black hair, they're not going to get platinum in one day. It's still going to take 3, 4, 5 appointments, because the most important thing, even with Olaplex, is maintaining the integrity of your client's hair the entire way.
Yes.
Can I pick one?
Yes.
Okay, so Kathleen D11, she said, how do you determine if the hair needs more protein or if the hair needs Olaplex?
Okay.
Well,
Well,
you guys answer that.
I think the best way is after the hair is wet, if by the time that you get to the shampoo, or by the time that you get to the chair and their hair is dry already, that means they're lacking moisture. So if they get to the chair and their hair is still sopping wet, that means they're lacking protein. So that to me, that's the best way to really figure out. But if someone is already very light, using Olaplex is just the internal issue. Using Olaplex will just link the bonds internally. You still need everything after the normal treatments that you've been using. You still need to coat the hair and make it feel silky with a great moisturizing mask. You still need to use protein to target all the other external targets of the hair as well.
I want to share something that I usually teach with my students for my classes. First of all, it's balance with moisture and protein and Olaplex. The way I have mentally figured out what Olaplex to me is in layman's terms, you're like over the top smart with your verbiage. But anyway, how I think of it as this is a substance that goes in and causes physical things to happen with the internal structure of hair. So all these bonds, it physically causes them to reconnect. So it's not like you're packing in some other crazy substance. You're taking the substances that's already there, bringing them together, versus protein. You're trying to add something that's foreign. And a lot of times, products can't simulate human hair keratin protein. So you're just doing cosmetic, you're just really cosmetically affecting the outside of the hair. It's not really penetrating the cuticle and doing things on the inside. So this is cool that it goes in and takes what's already there, puts it back together, then you can have your balance with protein and moisture, and it's just like the holy trifecta of everything.
Yes.
I felt like red all of a sudden towards the end of that. Maybe I was using the word trifecta, I don't know. I'll take it down again.
It's like the ultimate salon experience. Give them an Olaplex treatment, target the internal shaft, and then give them your best protein, shot fix, moisturizing treatment, everything else, yes, that you would use after shampoo. So just always know Olaplex as a treatment is used before you shampoo cleanse the hair, like any product that you normally use, and then finish off with a great external shaft treatment. And that is all done after you shampoo. So sometimes people get confused. What do I do when? Olaplex first, shampoo, and then all the rest of your treatments.
You want to pick one? I'm excited.
Love it.
I
Keep
know.
the questions going,
Okay,
guys.
let's see. You pick. You haven't picked one yet. And if you scroll down, there's tons more.
Okay.
Webinars are fun because you can interact. I love webinars.
No.
So with this, what is the recommended upcharge? What I want everyone to actually keep in mind with this is, breaking down Olaplex by cost per application really doesn't matter too much in a sense. What actually does matter though is the additional 10 minutes that this is going to be on the hair. A lot of the upcharge is actually a sliding scale depending on where you are, clientele, location, current service pricing, but that 10 to 20 minutes, the number 2 is on the hair, is actually 10 to 20 minutes you're not booking another client. For us as stylists, time is by far our most valuable thing. So you need to charge based on that time because product cost itself obviously is, negligible in comparison to that. So, we really, really want you as stylists to value your time. That's what we have to give our clients. And, just for many of us, I know we haven't bumped our prices up in years, and this gives you the opportunity to do that, while at the same time providing your clients with beautiful, healthy hair.
Charge what you're worth as a stylist. I mean,
Yeah.
you are a certain caliber of stylist if you have invested in this product to keep your client's hair in the best condition it can be in. So since you are that caliber of stylist, charge what you're worth. And I know it's scary. Sometimes you get to the, here's your ticket price and you have that like remorse of charging what you're worth. Add it on because you did the service and it makes a huge difference. So that's my take on that. I got a really juicy one that I'm like,
Ooh, we love juicy ones.
okay, this one's drama. Okay. What about all these competitors out there that are that look the same and have almost the same verbiage, but kind of different, and then almost the same text, but kind of. Okay, go. You know what I'm getting at.
Jordan.
Shoot.
Jordan.
So with
Let me back
those,
up.
without talking about other competitors or anything like that directly, the biggest thing I can recommend that you do. We love seeing side-by-side comparisons. Get 2 swatches, grab them, push the hair to the absolute limit. I also want you to actually examine ingredient decks, That right there will actually show you what a product is capable of. I know there's many products out there that are oils and other things such as that claiming to do the exact same thing. The problem, the fact of that is, if oils built bonds, then, Olaplex would have never been created in the first place. But more so than anything else, as stylists, it is important for us to educate ourselves. And doing those side-by-side comparisons is the best way to do it. You know what? I would much rather see it in person, feel it in person, and you just know the difference. I don't really want to be told from other people. So anyone that does have other products or anything like that, do those side-by-side comparisons, post pictures. We'd love to see them.
Yeah.
And what I now is becoming definitely a little bit more welcomed. I mean, Olaplex is everywhere now. It's like a revolution almost. But in the Hairstylist Education Forum, so many skeptics were like, I just don't know about it. I just don't know about it. I didn't need it before. Why do I need it now? Like you said, I urge you to try it. Why would you go based on an assumption or this person said it's good and this person says it's bad? Use it for yourself. There's only one way to find out. So I do test. And I mean, personally speaking, there's a reason why I only use this one.
Definitely.
Just saying.
I love testing Olaplex with perms and bleach. I mean, perming bleached hair is something you never, ever should do in the hair industry. It's like the biggest no-no.
On swatches, right? And
On
mannequins.
swatches.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
not on clients.
On
Disclaimer.
swatches.
Swatches
On
or mannequins.
Yeah.
But we have done it on real people,
The
and the
different-
results are absolutely amazing.
Surprising. that it
It's
works so
incredible.
well.
The other day I had, someone that I did a perm without Olaplex 2 years ago, and she was 100% highlighted on her ends, and she wanted a perm again, and her perm had faded, and I did an Olaplex treatment first. I wrapped my rods, and I followed the directions to the T, and it came out beautifully. So the biggest test when you are testing these products side by side are to do services that you normally wouldn't do. And perming bleached hair is a service that you normally should never do. And the reason for that is it breaks too many bonds in the hair. So perming breaks X amount of bonds, and then bleaching breaks X amount of bonds. So doing them together, you just melt hair off. But the results with Olaplex have been incredible. I mean, all over perm boxes it says, if this client is more than 40% highlighted, do not do this perm. And we've been seeing results where they are more than 40% highlighted, and they are still doing these perms with amazing curl patterns, bounce, and all of that. So on a test swatch, test that. See if these other competitors can really get you to perm bleached hair. I think that's the ultimate test.
I was going to say exactly what you just said. That's the ultimate test. And is it true, I heard this through the grapevine, that this was originally sort of needing to be adapted for texture services?
This was originally invented for perms.
Yeah,
perms,
the thing that put the most stress on hair. So that's what and then I feel like I've never seen hair as wrecked as perm, like when someone just goes totally wrong with a perm.
Perms,
one thing
relaxers,
I do want to hit on,
strongest.
relaxers, like she just said. Slim and I were actually at Bronner Brothers in Atlanta in February, and I actually saw one of the coolest things possible. One of our stylists actually brought in a client of hers she had been doing for years. She actually did a virgin relaxer with Olaplex directly into the sodium hydroxide relaxer. At the show, she then proceeded to highlight this exact same client with 50 volume clay lightener and Olaplex. As we know, after a sodium hydroxide relaxer, even if you put 10 volume on the hair, at best you're going to end up with a pixie cut. At the end of this,
textbooks, like, don't do that. And the fact that you can do this, and they've told you for years and years that you can't do that, that's saying something.
But her hair came out beautifully. I mean, the fact that putting 50 volume on previously sodium hydroxide relaxed hair, you just don't do. Like, that is a terrible, terrible idea. But I was actually able to see it in person. I was actually able to feel it in person. With that being said, though, with perms, with relaxers, with any type of harsh chemical, even with Olaplex, still be careful.
Yeah.
She obviously knew her client's hair very well, but I highly encourage you to do this on test swatches.
Yes, she did many treatments in between. She used Olaplex in her bleach, in her relaxer, and followed with Olaplex treatments afterwards. And the results were amazing, but she did everything with good judgment, great application methods, and she knew what she was doing beforehand. So definitely just don't dive in. Do a little test swatch
Tweak
first.
it and see how it
Test
works
the water
for
first.
you.
Yes, test the water.
Stick your toe in before you dive in. I'm getting a lot of questions about heat. What's the stance on using this in association with heat for whatever service? And you can just use it as...
I'll start with a treatment, and then Slim can kind of go into color and lightener. With heat for the treatment, heat really doesn't have any bearing on the efficacy of it. It's really about the length of time that it's left on. However, from like a service standpoint, like let's say you want to do like a hot towel or something like that, you entirely can.
More enjoyable.
Yeah, make it fancy, all that
Give
good
a
stuff.
little hand massage.
Yeah, I mean,
That's going a little far.
some oils, whatever.
But
I know.
But for the treatment itself, if you want to put your clients under heat, that's totally fine. If not, it's not really going to affect it. But if you have time, just leave the treatment on for a longer period of time.
Yes. And as far as heat, color, if you like to put your clients, with permanent color under heat,